you feel like you are doing all the right things, however, you're still feeling frustrated, bloated, uncomfortable in your clothes, then today I want to chat to you about the few hidden habits that might be silently working against you in your day-to-day. Now, these habits aren't the most obvious ones, but they're pretty powerful and they can keep you stuck even when you feel like you're doing all the right things. Now, the reason I know this is because this happened to me for a long time. I kind of feel like I had different phases of my fitness and health journey. Like the first one was when I was super struggling. And that was me for years, white knuckle riding it to the end of every week, drinking way too much alcohol, terrible relationship with food, doing every single diet under the sun, never giving really a second thought to caring for my body. It was all about trying to make myself as small as possible. Now at this point, I was as big as I've ever been. I was probably at my most heaviest and my most unhealthy then. So that was the real struggle time. And then there was a time after that when I started to get consistent with some healthy habits. I had a big breakthrough, and that was around the time when I realized that healthy habits can't be built on shaky foundations. So just like a house is always going to crumble if you build it on shaky foundations. Well, I was trying to build my healthy habits on shaky foundations of stress and overwhelm and an all or nothing mindset. And that's never going to work. Those healthy habits, they were always going to be impossible. They're always going to be impossible to get consistent with. So when I figured that out and I started becoming consistent with my healthy habits, it's this phase here that I want to chat to you about. This phase when things were beginning to go well, I was beginning to get consistent. However, I still had these hidden habits that were pulling me back and making it a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. So I was doing the things, I was getting consistent with the things, but the days were very struggly. It was hard to keep it all going. Does that make sense? Do you ever feel like that? That like you're ticking the boxes, you're doing your workouts, you're sorting your morning routine, you're eating healthier, things are going much better than they used to. However, you don't really trust it. It feels very temporary. So this is what we're chatting about today. And I hear it all the time from women over the past 16 years that I've been coaching. I'm eating well, I'm moving more, however, I'm still feeling tired, sluggish, frustrated, and I really do get it. The truth is, you can be doing all the healthy things and still feeling stuck, and it's because of these secret little hidden habits in the background, the one we don't even question. Like, for example, skipping breakfast or eating on autopilot or saying yes to everything and never checking in with yourself. So around this time for myself, I started paying attention to what actually made a difference. What actually makes a difference habit-wise for a woman over 40. Not just the workouts and the thrive times and the breath work, not just that stuff, but the little small patterns of behavior in between. The ones that made my stress worse, my sleep worse, my mood worse. And once I saw them, I was able to change them. And now I'm able to incorporate all of that into my Thrive Academy program, so you don't have to feel stuck and not know why. So today I'm going to walk you through these 10 hidden habits that I see all the time in women over 40 and in myself. And these are the patterns that keep you stuck. So if any of them resonate with you, the idea of this episode is just to get you having a little think about the small little changes you could make that are going to have a big payoff in your day to day. The big payoff being you'll feel more calm and in control, more grounded, more centered. Things will just feel that little bit easier, because that's what we want, isn't it? It's really difficult. It's really difficult to get healthy and to stay healthy when it's not easy. And I know that better than anybody. I know that so much. I know how difficult it can be if things are working against you. So the first habit is eating right up until bedtime. Eating right up until bedtime. This is an absolute killer to you trying to get healthy. And there are so many reasons why. Number one, it's a big red flag to your nutrition not being good enough during the day. For a lot of women, they are stuck in this cycle of restriction and overeating. What tends to happen is they wake up in the morning time and they declare, this is it. Today is the day where I'm going to get my food sorted and I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to feel better in my clothes. So they spend the day restricting. They have their dinner. They're absolutely starving. You know that feeling where you're so hungry. It doesn't matter if you have 3 portions of your dinner, you want more. And you sit on the couch and you can't help yourself, but you eat food. Or you've saved yourself all day food-wise so that you can sit on the couch and overeat. It's going to wreck your metabolism. It's going to wreck any chance you're going to get of a good routine. You're not fueling your body. You're going to have energy crashes in the day. You're going to be still stuck in that addicted to sugar cycle. It's just keeping you stuck. You are healthy during the day and you're doing all the things really well. You're going to get frustrated that you're not seeing the results in your clothes. And for a lot of women over 40, their food habits are pretty good during the day. They're good. They're good. Good breakfasts, healthy lunches, healthy dinners. Most of my clients know what to eat. They're really good on the nutrition side of things. However, for myself as well, for many of us, it's that nighttime eating that really lets us down. And although it doesn't seem that big a deal when you're doing it, it just has such a negative knock-on effect for the next day. I always like to think of the night before the next day as the beginning of having a great day. I love to be prepared and organized. I aim to fuel my body the night before the way I want to wake up the next day. So if you know, I love to be healthy now. I love to be fit. I love to be lean. For that to happen, I know that the evening time, the night time is just as important as the daytime. For many of you, in the past, definitely, you are really obsessing about breakfast and getting in all the great stuff during the day. However, the nighttime isn't quite where we want it to be yet. So getting this nighttime sorted, making sure that you're making dinner your last meal, is going to have such a wonderful, positive knock-on effect to the next day. Okay, so perimenopause, menopause, you mightn't be getting a good sleep at the moment. However, at least you're setting yourself up as best you can for a good night's sleep by making dinner your last meal. You're taking care of your body. You're letting your body go to bed without a stomach full of sugar or food or cortisol from the sugar running all around it. So you're taking really good care of yourself. When you wake up the next day, you know that you haven't eaten since dinner. So you're going to have that lovely natural feeling of when you do have breakfast, of actually being hungry and ready for it. Your mood is going to be stabilized that little bit more. And even if your mood is all over the place because you're in menopause or perimenopause, at least you know you're doing all the right things from the natural sources. So you're fueling yourself right to get the best sleep that you can, to wake up the next day, to be as normally hungry as you can be for your breakfast. And it's just going to have this lovely knock-on effect. You know that you're not cranky from all the stuff you ate before bed last night. If you do feel cranky or you do feel a mood dip, you can identify where that's coming from a bit better. Does that make sense? Like, we really want to know where these actual mood dips are coming from. And having your food and your nutrition good, it just means that we can say, great, okay, well, look, that's taken care of, so let's look elsewhere. Number 2 is living on tea and barely drinking any water. Like, this just sounds so simple. However, when you're busy and you're running around and you're not making any time to drink water, what is happening to your body is that it's getting dehydrated. Do you know what's really interesting? And I know I'm going a little bit off point. Just a tiny bit of dehydration can have you can decrease your performance by 20% when you are working out or doing anything really. A dehydration, they say that, once you're thirsty, you're so much more dehydrated than you think you are. And dehydration or not drinking enough water causes mood swings, sluggishness, crankiness, and irritability. So you can literally be walking around during the day feeling irritated that you have to do your workout, feeling irritated and feeling in the mood that you want some sugar, wondering what's wrong with you, wondering why it's so difficult. And it might literally be because you're not drinking enough water. So for me, and what I try and get my clients to do, is to really make sure the basics are right, the foundations are right. Once you get into this lovely, habitual, routine, consistent place of the basics, you can really build on that. You want to make drinking water just a part of your life, not a temporary thing, a part of your life. What I love to do is to have a litre of water knocked back by at least 11 a.m. and another litre knocked back by 4 p.m. A lot of people are drinking loads of tea, drinking loads of coffee, barely sipping any water, feeling cranky, feeling irritable, and not for 1 second thinking it's because they're just lacking in water. So it's these hidden habits that we really need to make sure aren't holding you back and pulling you back and keeping you stuck and making you think that the reasons you're feeling a certain way is one thing, when actually it's these simple little habits that might be holding you back. The third thing, skipping breaks at work. This is a huge one. Working too hard. Working too hard. Now, I did this for years back when I owned a gym. I would take no breaks. I would be all work. It would occupy my every waking thought. To be honest, I was more work than family for a while. Back when I had a team of 6, the facility of the gym was huge, and it was just a really massive monster. I paid more attention back then than I did to my home life. And it's really easy to do, especially if you're super career driven and you get huge, massive satisfaction from your work. You may find it really, really difficult to close the laptop, to step away, to take your breaks, to treat yourself. And let's just stick with yourself. Let's not even get into family at the minute. You might find it even difficult just to take care of yourself as much as you do with work. Now, there's a few reasons why that might be. Yes, you might be super career driven and you just can't stop working, or you feel like you can, or you feel like you're not enough and you feel like you can't step away for whatever reasons, that you've got to work as hard as you can, that you don't feel worthy, that if you do relax a little and take more breaks and close down the laptop and step away from the stuff, that you feel like you're not doing good enough. And no amount of work is going to quench that thirst. So you're going to need a different approach to this. Willpower and motivation alone isn't going to help you close the laptop. What you need to work on are your limiting beliefs around you not feeling enough as you are, and this drive to work coming from a place of not being enough. I can really resonate with this so much and really relate to it. That's how I used to drive myself in work. Not purposely, I just did. I used to think, I'm not enough, what I'm doing isn't enough, and my whole approach to work used to be more, more, more. But that's not good for anybody. What I've come to the conclusion with through experience is that do what you have to do and do it to the best of your ability. Also, when you make space in your day to think, you're less reactive. You get to analyze problems more. You come up with better solutions. And all around, you actually become a much better person in work because you think the things through. Everything you do with intention. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, actually. I want to bring it back to skipping breaks at work. Skipping breaks at work is going to leave you frazzled, overworked, tired, frustrated. And remember, when we feel these things, we're making it harder to get fit and healthy. You're not going to be in the mood for your workout. You're going to be wound up. The chances of you wanting to reach for sweet, sugary stuff increases. Your chance of wanting to get out and get fresh air decreases. Your chance of something winding you up in work increases. So you're making life much harder for yourself. Scheduling breaks throughout the day and actually taking them and not getting off your laptop and then checking your work emails on your phone is something that I believe you're going to need to work on if you don't want to keep stuck in this cycle that I know you want to break out of. Number 4 is mindless snacking. Mindless snacking is holding you back too. It's one of those hidden habits that if you don't pay close attention to, it can be the difference between you feeling absolutely mighty in your clothes to you not feeling good in your clothes. And mindless snacking is the type of thing where every day you're kind of having something sweet. Or you might hit the press or the fridge between lunch and dinner and just eat food, whatever it is. You might grab 4 slices of cheese or a little bit of last night's dinner or a yogurt. Or I just want to let you know that it all adds up. And that's absolutely fine if you're okay with that. However, I'm talking to you if you're not okay with that and your clothes are tight. If your clothes are feeling tight, no real amount of adding on exercise is going to help with that. The truth is that when your clothes are tight, it's a lot of the time, and I'm just talking about the mindless snacking part because it can also be hormonal and due to other things. If you're eating too much, that's your body's just simple way of showing you that you're eating too much energy and it's being stored on the body as fat. And I've noticed with myself all the time that every single time when I eat more, I gain a little bit of weight, and every time I eat less or I cut out the mindless snacking, I lose weight. And I find this part really interesting because I kind of have to show up on video all the time. I kind of know my body really, really well. I've got to stick on like shorts and t-shirts for the workouts that I'm filming, and the shorts are tight. And what I'm trying to say is I can really notice if I put up just a tiny bit of weight. And it's kind of really cool to see science at work. It just reminds me to keep things very fact-based. Like I could, for 2 weeks, eat extra snacks like yogurts and different things, and I will notice my shorts getting a little bit tight, and then I'll cut that out and I'll notice them getting a little bit loose. So really, if you are mindless snacking and you don't want to be feeling uncomfortable in your clothes, then really you're going to need to work on that and take a look at that and figure out how you can get rid of the mindless snacking. The first way to do that is just to be really aware that you're doing it and to consciously eat and to be really honest with yourself. Say like, look, I'm having 3 meals, I'm snacking on fruit and I'm hungry, I'm drinking water, I'm working out, my clothes are tight because I'm just eating that little bit too much food around meal times at the table, I'm getting big dinners, I'm having second portions, I'm eating off the kids' plate, I'm having extra toast, I'm having a big snack between breakfast and lunch. These things make a big difference, so I just want to help you with that. Number 5 is waiting for motivation to strike. Motivation, it just doesn't strike. It only really strikes if you're at rock bottom. So what I find with some people is that, and myself included, everything that I've mentioned on this list I have done 10 times over, is that you have to hit rock bottom to get motivated. A lot of us, like, our clothes will just get to the point where they're so uncomfortable we do something about it, or we feel so unfit we do something about it. We all have that trigger moment. We ran up the stairs, we could barely breathe, we were on the verge of a heart attack, so we decided to go and get fit. And what happens to a lot of people then is they move out of that rock bottom stage and they wonder where their motivation has gone. And they think to themselves, oh, this is typical me. My motivation is gone. If only I could be as motivated as I was at the start. But they're forgetting that at the start they were at their rock bottom or close to their rock bottom. So judging your motivation levels on how bad you feel is never a good strategy. You're not ever going to get where you are by doing something when you feel motivated to do it. That is an absolute fact. It's really important if you're listening to me now and you're in your motivated stage. You may have just started Thrive Academy with me. You may be going through a really motivated stage. Now is the time for you to set yourself up for success by saying, okay, well, this motivation is only temporary. It's not going to stay around. How do I become disciplined? And one of the ways to become disciplined is to make sure you always have a goal. Make sure you always have a why attached to your goal, like why something is important to you. If something isn't that important to you, you're only going to be very motivation led, and then it's going to dip. So you always need to be knowing why you are doing something. And if your why is powerful enough, it'll keep you going. And then when you've got your why all sorted, you need to have good, solid, simple action steps that you can follow through with every day. And in my opinion, when those habits are put into a schedule on a calendar with set times, that's when you're going to start to be able to practice discipline. It's really difficult to practice discipline if you just get your workouts done at any old part of the day, because even that means you can take a part of the day where you're feeling motivated. To practice discipline, in my opinion, you are best off doing something at a time you said you were going to and know it a week in advance. That way you know whether you're practicing discipline or not, whether you've showed up or not. Number 6 is saying, I don't have time, without looking deeper. This is going to really hold you back. It's something that's true. However, it's also something that stays true until we do something about it. So if you don't have time now, yes, that is true, and I believe you, of course. However, now what? It's just not solution-led enough. And if you want something, you have to figure out a solution to get it. And I don't have time is just a full stop. That's it. I don't have time. I'm not going to figure it out. So therefore, do you want to get to where you want to go? So you always need to be looking deeper at this time issue, because there is always much deeper issues going on. For example, you don't have any boundaries. You're taking care of everybody first and yourself last. You're working too much. Those 3 things, of course, it's going to mean you have no time. So your options are to put boundaries up, to talk to your boss, to talk to your family, to delegate more things, to take more breaks from work. You need to become solution-led to the I don't have time. Because really, you can either choose to figure it out, or you can just not have time and not do anything about it. And where's that going to get you? And every time you feel at a crossroads, I want you to do something that I do, and it's to close my eyes and visualize myself not fixing the thing and looking down the line just a little bit and where I end up, and I go, oh no thanks, I don't want that. You see, sometimes I just don't think we think the thing through. We say no to something today, or we miss our workouts for a few weeks, and we don't really think of the future consequences. Like, we're great sometimes at thinking of the future consequences of if we ate really healthy, and if we did all our workouts, you can go, oh my God, I'm going to get so fit and healthy. However, we don't think of the consequences too much of when we don't, like, oh my God, I'm going to get really unfit. I'm going to get really unhealthy. My clothes are going to be tight. So God, like, I know it's painful for me now to do this annoying thing with boundaries and delegation. However, the other alternative for me is no thanks. Number 7 is doing everything for everyone else first. Well, this used to be me. This will never get you anywhere. Like, deciding to spend your days doing everything for everyone else and then taking the dregs of time left at the end of the day. I really believe if you want to get fit and healthy, the dregs at the end of the day is just never going to work. You have to figure out another way. I really think that, like, once dinner's done and the kitchen's tidy and you're organized for the next day, then that time is time to sit on the couch with a fire and a cup of hot chocolate and a relax and something good on Netflix. I will never in a million years recommend one of my clients to use that time to go and do anything other than relax. Ever, ever. That time is so precious to unwind and to just do nothing. I mean, that time I wouldn't go near it with journaling or breath work or work. I wouldn't do anything. I feel that time is so precious before bed to unwind, to let your mind naturally unwind, to watch something like chewing gummy on the TV, like the White Lotus or something like that, and just to relax, and Motherland or Amandaland, and just to unwind and relax before bed. So with that in mind, if you spend your every waking moment from the moment you get up taking care of everybody else, then that means you're never going to take care of yourself. So I think it's a really good idea, if you're in this position now, to rule out the evening time. And if your brain's like, well, then I won't be able to fit it in. Well, maybe with a little bit of work on the deeper stuff, you would be able to fit it in. But I really think you should just say no to the nighttime and just relax in the evening time, and then figure out how you can get it done. Now, I know some people work shift work, and the only time they can do it is when they get home from work. And I'm not talking about that time. I'm talking specifically about that time before bed when you're watching TV. I think that time is sacred and should be left alone. Taking care of everyone else but yourself first. You're going to just keep doing that. Scheduling in appointments for yourself, like your workout appointments, your morning routine, just like you would for your children or meeting your friend for a coffee. This is what needs to be done. Like, how simple is it when your friend rings and says, do you want to go for a coffee? Like, you make it work. Or your child's coach says they've got a match, or they've got extra training sessions. Like, you just find a way. What if you put that level of determination towards yourself? What if you thought of yourself as an athlete, training that's nourishing their body, that is working on their body and mind, calming their mind, making their body really fit and healthy and strong? What if you thought of yourself as an athlete and just kept saying to yourself, like, what would an athlete do? An athlete would find the time. An athlete would work out. An athlete would eat healthy. They would just make the time. I do understand it's really uncomfortable at first, making time, and you're like, what am I actually doing? I'm in a workout here. I'm working out in the kitchen. I can hear everybody in the other room. What am I at? It's just your brain trying to keep you inside the comfort zone. So remember that if you start to change these new habits and your brain doesn't like it, it's just your brain trying to keep you stuck in your comfort. Your brain craves certainty. Your brain craves certainty. So when you are beginning to take care of yourself first, your brain won't like that. Knowing that is power. Knowledge is power. Keep doing the thing anyway, and you'll get used to it with practice. Number 8 is never asking for help. So I do this all the time. I sign up to a program and they have coaches and calls, and I don't do it, and I struggle, and I do well in the program if I'm doing well, but I don't do well in the program if I'm struggling. Now, the reason that you signed up to a program is because for a lot of people, it's an area of their life where they're like, do you know what? I am doing really great in all these areas in my life. This one area of my life, I'd love a coach. That'd be deadly. This is just one area that I can turn to somebody else for guidance. So it's just one less thing to think about. And I think that's really, really cool. I have coaches all the time myself. However, what I have noticed in my 16 years of coaching women, and in me going to programs and getting coaches, is that we're also afraid to ask for help. However, this is my job. So a reminder to you, if there's an area that you're struggling with, like your nutrition or your workouts or your habits or your morning routines or your bedtime routines or anything else in your life, like you've got too much housework going on or there's something that you're struggling with in work, know that it's really normal to not ask for help. However, also know that the person you're asking for help will 9 times out of 10 love to hear from you. I adore it when my clients get in touch with me with a struggle. Because I know it's difficult to do that. It's difficult to put your hand up and go, do you know what, actually, I'm kind of struggling in this area. Can you please help? I absolutely love it. It takes huge courage to do that. And it takes commitment to not always trying to just say everything is good, everything is good. The truth is, if you have a coach, that is what they are there for. They are there to help you through the setbacks and challenges. Because that's what success is. It's you moving along this path full of setbacks and challenges to the end result, which is success. So it would be weird if you didn't encounter setbacks and challenges. So asking for help is absolutely crucial. Number 9, another hidden habit that may be keeping you stuck and frustrated, is letting work and family life bleed into every single hour. So having nothing else for yourself. Now, I know this is a big step for you, especially if you're just at a point where you're trying to get your workouts going consistently. And this was me a few years ago. I got my workouts going and all the good stuff, but I was an absolute shell of a person. I didn't have any hobbies whatsoever. And now I have loads of hobbies. I love my hobbies. I am absolutely hobby central. I love to do things for myself and keep the brain occupied, and I adore it. I just love it. I love to do a bit of Tai Chi. I love to do a bit of pickleball. I love to play Lego. I love to read books. I love to go out in nature. I wouldn't have been able to have said those things a few years ago. I wouldn't have known what I have liked and what I disliked. It's really important that you find time for yourself. That's not work. That's not family. Doing things that you enjoy, like playing the piano, meeting friends, doing sea dips. What is it that you love to do? Number 10 is going all in or not at all. This is a hidden habit. I want you to have a little think about this, because this is a habit that sometimes we don't even really know we're all or nothing. I've really gone noticing like crazy my all or nothing. And it really shows up in so many ways. Like, for example, with Instagram. I really struggled to show up for a long time because I wasn't really sure of my guidelines. Does that make sense? Like, I noticed that I would get really tired when I was on Instagram, and I found it very draining. And I only recently realized that that's because I was very all or nothing. All or nothing creeps in ways that you mightn't even really notice, but it is an absolute hidden habit that keeps you stuck. You do too much, then you do nothing at all. You think about something too much, then you make yourself sick of it and do nothing at all. You do too many workouts and then nothing. You walk every day and then nothing. You eat no sugar, you're eventually going to go back on it. You have to be really mindful of all or nothing. Just watch out for it. It is one of those sneaky little things that creeps up and you don't realize it when you're in your all phase and you're feeling motivated and you're buzzing. Sometimes it's hard to spot that you're in the all phase until it all comes crashing down and you're in the nothing phase. It's one of the biggest things that I see. It's one of the biggest ways I feel we get held back and we stay stuck in a cycle. When my clients become aware of these patterns, a shift happens. They go from feeling out of control to feeling grounded. I was the exact same. You go from feeling like you're white knuckle riding it week to week, just about hanging on, to feeling much more calm, much more grounded, much more in control. So remember that you don't need more discipline. You need to gently interrupt the habits that are keeping you stuck. You need to gently interrupt the habits that are keeping you stuck and replace them with ones that support you. That's how you create lasting change without burning out. So what happens when you do this? You sleep better, you have more energy, you feel more grounded, you feel more in control, you'll stop reaching for sugar and sugary snacks and snacks to cope. You get your power back. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Please rate and subscribe it and share it to a friend if you think that they may get any benefits from this episode. Also, if you feel like you are in the need of a kickstart, you are thinking, Jessica, yes, I'm ready to go, you can download my free 5-day Thrive Challenge. You can go to jessicacooke.ie/challenge. That's jessicacooke.ie/challenge and kickstart back to feeling more in control yourself. Have a lovely day. Thanks for listening. All my love and bye for now.